Welcome to EV Morning from the Vox Network. You grab yourself a coffee and we'll bring you electric vehicle news. First up this week is news of a luxurious supercar. The Audi e-tron GT and an RS version have been revealed. The Audi e-tron GT and the RS e-tron GT both have the same size battery pack. What do you get for your money? Well, 93.4 kilowatt hours is the gross capacity. You get to use slightly less than that for battery safety. It's an 800 volt system, and that allows rapid recharging. If you can find a charger that'll output enough juice, you can go from 5% to 80% state of charge in only 23 minutes. Now, of course, this is an Audi. It's quattro, so of course it's all-wheel drive, but interestingly with a dual transmission on the rear axle. The base model does 469 horsepower. That's 0 to 62 miles an hour, or 100 k's, in just 4.1 seconds. But it gets better for the RS version. 590 horsepower. That's 0 to 62 miles an hour, or 100 k's, in 3.3 seconds. Now, both cars are limited to 155 miles an hour. There's adaptive air suspension, rear wheel steering, sports diff and torque vectoring, all standard on the RS version. And how far can you go with all of that battery and all of that technology? On the WLTP test cycle, 298 miles. We'll call it 300, should we? And for the RS version, 283. Both will charge at a respectable 270 kilowatts. Choice of wheels, 19 or 21 inch, but you can get in those aero blade versions. And matrix LED laser headlights. I don't know what they are, but I really want them now. Two displays, a 10.1 inch touch display to go with the 12.3 inch virtual cockpit screen, which sits behind the wheel. And what's it going to cost you? Well, prices for the Audi e-tron GT start at €99,800 or £80,000. And for the RS version, prepare yourself, €138,000, £111,000. And if you're looking at this and thinking, I've seen that somewhere before, yes, it is very similar to the Porsche Taycan and all the various variants of that car. It's because it's based on the parent company, Volkswagen Group's same platform, the J1 platform, exactly the same as used on the Taycan and the forthcoming Taycan Cross Turismo. So both cars started off as a genesis of one idea, but Porsche did their thing, Audi did theirs, mainly in terms of styling, I must say, on the outside and inside as well. Perhaps Porsche for your purebred track machine, Audi for when you are driving to the office or doing many thousands of miles across a continent, perhaps want to do it in more luxury than the Porsche Taycan. Let us know your favourite in the comments below. Okay, moving on, and the second batch of the Xpeng G3 electric crossovers have arrived here in Europe. 200 of them arriving off the ship into Norway. Together with the 100 units in December, that's now 300 units in total of the Chinese crossover driving around on European roads. Norway is the first stop in Xpeng's European expansion, but it will not be the last. Now, a lot depends on how these first few hundred EVs are received for the long-term plans to be made. In Norway, the Xpeng starts at about €34,000, about £30,000, $41,000 equivalent. It'll have 280 miles of range on the WLTP test cycle. According to Xpeng themselves, the feedback so far has been very positive, and the car even gets its first over-the-air software update soon. My only take on that would be the charge port. They use the CHAdeMO charger here in Europe, unlike in China where they use the GBT plug. And depending on how many CHAdeMO chargers are near where you are or along the routes that you want to travel, could be the only consideration, not going with the CCS standard. Next, we'll talk Tesla. The number one in Consumer Reports' owner satisfaction survey. They've released their owner satisfaction data every year for the last 3 years, and Tesla has been the leader. Well, now we can make that 4 consecutive years because the EV manufacturer has gone and done it again. They've beaten competitors like Lincoln, Ram, and Chrysler, who all came after them. So what did they score? Well, 5 out of 5 in the driving category, 4 out of 5 for comfort, 4 out of 5 for in-car electronics, and 3 out of 5 for cabin storage. I have friends who admit their cars aren't perfect, but they love them. Yes, it may fill up with water occasionally in the boot when it rains heavily, but this Consumer Report was all about asking existing owners if they like their cars, and overwhelmingly, they know that there are faults, but Tesla owners adore their cars, and that's why it came out top. Next, we'll talk Ford. Ford increasing their EV investments, $29 billion by 2025. The company increased their planned investments to $29 billion, nearly twice what they previously committed to EVs, and they're spending $7 billion on autonomous vehicles. The Ford president and CEO, Jim Farley, said Ford is currently ramping up the production and sales of the Mustang Mach-E, which later this year will be joined by the all-electric e-Transit, that's a delivery van, and the all-electric Ford F-150 in mid-2022, with the potential to be a massive selling truck. We'll talk Mercedes-Benz next, and the EQA. Pricing is competitive depending on the spec that you go for. Got on sale, at least here in the UK, with prices starting just over £40,000. We take off the government grant of £3,000 that currently applies. It's derived from their GLA car. Its pure battery power has a range of 263 miles on a single charge and sits just below the existing EQC car. But it is still loaded with equipment. Cruise control, reversing camera, automatic climate control, lane keep assist, heated seats, 18-inch alloys, and 2 big 10-inch infotainment system displays. There's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto too. Perhaps the only downside for me being 100 kilowatt charge speeds, perhaps a little slow for what is quite a big battery, 66.5 kilowatt hours. It could perhaps take a faster charge speed if it was engineered just a little bit differently. Otherwise, looking like a great car. Let's talk a fully electric Jeep Wrangler, which has been teased in the US. Jeep is taking really big steps towards electrification. Now, the Wrangler 4xe, or I should say it 4xe, because 4x4 would be 4x4. However you want me to say it, the plug-in hybrid is already a reality, and the 4xe version of the Grand Cherokee is coming. All of that paves the way for Jeep's first fully electric production vehicle, and it could arrive sooner than you think. That's because the Wrangler EV concept is barely a month away from being revealed. Jeep introduced the Wrangler 4xe hybrid concept back in January of 2020 and followed it up with a production version in September. As such, a fully electric Jeep Wrangler, shown in late March, could mean a production version coming before the end of 2021. We hope so. And that again could be a really big seller of a very popular car. Perhaps a car that won't sell as many, but is certainly very desirable, is the Lucid Air. And Lucid's CEO says that they are ahead in the tech race. The man behind the company, the senior manager at Tesla, who left, he was the man behind the Model S. He left Peter Rawlinson to go to Lucid. He's the CEO, and the debut of the Air is coming in a matter of weeks. And he's just said on CNBC that he doesn't think that Tesla is a competitor when it comes to the actual product. He puts the Lucid Air alongside cars like Mercedes-Benz S-Class, being superior, he says, to the Model S. When it comes to technology, people could argue that the highest range somehow indicates the best car. But he disputes that. He says the best way to measure technological refinement is efficiency. And the Lucid Air does 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. The Model S achieves around 4. And finally, a quirky story to end this week. The Porsche Taycan has broken a speed record, but the indoor speed record. The flagship Turbo S was chosen for this particular feat. Needs only 2.6 seconds to get to 60 miles an hour from a standstill. All-wheel drive, of course. Carbon ceramic brakes when you want to hit the stop pedal if you are heading towards the building's wall. Now, the Porsche accelerated to 102.65 miles an hour. That's 165.2 kilometers per hour. Doesn't come close to the car's top speed, but he did do it inside a building. Now, the Guinness World Records team were there to witness it, They revealed the record-breaking run took place on November the 18th last year, only now Porsche revealing the achievement. Well, that's your news for this week. Hope you liked it. If you like this show, of course, please subscribe to the channel. And remember to give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one.